They're able to see the screen, students? Students?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Thank you. In the last class, we were discussing about the branch instructions. We stopped at the branch instructions. Branch instructions are the instructions which are placed in parallel. Okay, and these instructions we have gone through, where the looping concept, we have come across the looping concept where the branch instructions are executed in a branch, maybe one branch or two branch in the ladder rung, or it may be having three branches like that. Okay, and then we have also seen the other parts or other topics on the branch instructions, such as PLC matrix limitation diagram. That is, how many contacts can be placed in one rung, or how many contacts can be placed at the maximum. If you are taking 10 rungs, okay, and 7 contacts in each rung, maximum 70 contacts that can be placed in the rung diagram, maximum limitation. Okay, all those things we have taken up in the previous class. In today's class, I'll be starting with the internal relay instructions. Internal relay instructions. Now, these internal relay instructions have an area of the memory particularly meant for storing of the bits which are related to internal relay instructions. There are certain spaces in the memory location in PLC meant to store the internal relay locations. Okay, these storage bits are also called as the internal storage bits, or internal relay instruction storage bits are also called as internal outputs. They are also called internal relay coils or internal control relays, or simply internal bits. These are the various names given for the, that is the internal storage bits. Internal outputs, internal coils, internal relay storage bits or internal control relays, or simple internal bits, simply internal bits. These internal relay instruction bits, they store the status. Again, it is either the on status or off status of the signals generated after the execution of the program. After the execution of the ladder rung diagram, whatever is the status of the output, that status is stored by these bits. Then here question comes whether the field devices are connected or not. Output we are obtaining the output. Okay, with that output, usually what we are doing, we are controlling the field devices, is it not? But here the field devices are not connected. Whenever we are making use of these internal relay bits, okay, or internal instruction bits, relay instruction bits, we are not connecting the field devices. It is just meant to monitor the output, whether we are, whatever output we are getting, they are correct or not. We want to monitor first, we want to test it. So for the testing purpose, for monitoring purpose, we are using these bits which are called as the internal outputs or the internal relay instruction bits, right? And an internal output does not directly control an output field device. It is not controlling the field device. Field devices are not at all connected. But when the field devices are connected, the bits are used to indicate the status. The same bit location which is used to indicate the status when the field devices are connected. When the field devices are connected, the bits memory locations, the memory locations in the PLC memory, which is used to store the status of the field device or the status of the output, the same bit location, same memory location is also used when the field devices are not connected. So such of the memory locations or memory bits, they are called as internal outputs or internal relay instruction bits. Okay, so this is how we are using satisfactorily, or we are making use of efficiently the bits without wasting these memory locations. We are not wasting these memory locations. The memory locations which are meant to be stored for the status when field devices are connected, the same bit memory locations we are using when the field devices are not connected, to just check the output and to test whether the output whatever we are getting is correct or not. So such of the memory locations are internal outputs or the internal instruction relay instruction bits. The internal output operates just like any output that is controlled by programmed logic. However, the output is used strictly for internal purposes only. The output whatever is being obtained, it is used for internal purpose within the PLC only. It is not meant to control the field device. The output whatever is getting, we are getting from the execution of the ladder diagram, that output is meant for internal purposes only within the PLC. It is not meant to control the field devices. And what is the advantage of using the internal outputs? Advantage is that there are many situations in which output instruction is required in a program. There is an output instruction, we have written the ladder rung program, but no physical connection to a field device is needed. Physically the field device is not connected, the field device is not connected. Under such situation, we are making use of the bits or the bit memory locations which are called as internal output bits. Internal storage bits or points can be programmed by the user to perform relay functions without a physical output. That is, we are getting the output, it is just meant to, suppose if you are connecting a relay, okay, the relay may be on or off. Suppose if you are connecting a pilot light, an indicator, it may be on or off. It is just to see the status of the output, but not to control the field device. The user can write a program in such a way that the output is obtained, whatever is output is obtained, that is meant to only check the status, but not to control the field devices. These internal outputs, as I told, they occupy a single bit in the memory location. They occupy only one bit space in the memory location. There is certain method used for using these bits. The method is B3:1/3. This is one example that I have quoted here. B3:1/3. B3:1/3 means, B3 means it is a file name. File name is B3. Then 1 indicates the word number. 1 indicates the word number and 3 is the bit number. B3 under bit 1, number 1, bit that is used here is bit number 3. File number B3, word number 1 and bit number 3. Okay, so this consists of the file number followed by word and bit numbers. An internal control relay can be used when a program requires more series contacts. So when this control relay bit is used, it is used usually when the program requires more contacts per rung than the limit specified by the PLC. Now PLC manufacturers, what they are doing, they are mentioning a limit on the number of contacts that in one rung or in the ladder diagram. Okay, that is matrix we have seen in the last class, PLC matrix limitation diagram. Okay, the number of contacts that can be used in the rung diagram, maximum, how many contacts can be used. Okay, so if the program requires more contacts to be used, suppose my program, I have written a program and my program wants some more contacts to be used, some more I'm connecting some more additional switches, additional inputs, extra inputs. So I want the contacts for them, instructions to be written for them. Then under such situation, the internal control relay or the internal diagram is used. Okay, internal control bit is used. Okay. Next figure shows the circuit which requires actually 12 series contacts. My program is requiring 12 contacts. Inputs we are calling them as contacts and the output we are calling them as the contacts. The concept we have discussed in the previous class, is it not? Suppose my circuit is requiring say 12 contacts. Okay, I'm connecting the 12 inputs and it is requiring 12 series contacts to be connected, so that my connectivity is continuous. I get the logical continuity, my rung becomes true, and the output will be indicated. Okay. Now for these 12 series contacts, I cannot have 12 series contacts because the number of maximum contacts that are allowed per rung is only 7. I can connect only 7 contacts in series per one rung. That is shown in the next diagram. Here you all can see maximum 7 contacts are connected in one rung. In one rung from the starting to end, maximum 7 contacts are connected. Then if I want 12 contacts, then how to connect them? How to make use of them? This is how it is used in this fashion. This 7 series contacts, whatever output we are getting, we are energizing them. Okay. The coil is energized, the relay coil is energized, the output. And the same B3:1/3 is again continued. I am connecting an input to that bit. I'm connecting an input to that bit, and again I'm connecting the remaining contacts in series. Remaining contacts in series. Okay, this is not like the electrical circuit connection. Okay, in electrical circuit we see the electrical continuity from where the current is flowing, where it is diverting, what is the path of the electric current. Is not like that. This entire logic diagram or ladder rung diagram is based on the logical continuity. Is based on the logical continuity between the input and the output. Okay, based on the logical condition, whether the logic is true or false. If it is true, then the output will be activated, output will be energized, output will be turned on. If the condition is false, output will be false or output will be turned off. That is how I have connected here. There are 7 contacts being connected in this diagram. Saying then these 7 series contacts, when they become true, the relay coil is energized, turned on. Then the bit which is used to store the status of this coil is B3:1/3. B3:1/3 is the bit. The same bit I am connecting to the same bit. I'm continuing there, and I'm connecting a relay contact. That means first this is used, and after some time, say after few seconds, the same bit I'm connecting to the contact, to the input, and I'm continuing from there. That means there is a continuity from the rung 1 input to the output, then output to the input of the rung 2, and from the input of the rung 2 to the output. Input of the rung 2 to the output. This is how logical continuity is established from the rung 1 input to rung 1 output, then from the rung 1 output to rung 2 input, and from the rung 2 input to the rung 2 output. Okay. So this is how the diagram shows the working of the contacts. That is how many maximum contacts can be used. And if we want to make use of some more series contacts, then we have to connect them in parallel with the logical continuity being maintained. That is the requirement. Okay. So to solve this problem, the contacts are split into 2 rungs. The contacts are split into 2 rungs. Rung contains 7 of the required contacts. Rung 1 contains 7 of the required contacts. Rung 1 contains 7 of the required contacts and is programmed to control internal relay coil B3:1/3. It contains 7 contacts and is programmed to control internal relay coil B3:1/3. The address of the first program contact on rung 2 is again the same, that is B3:1/3 only, followed by remaining 5 contacts and the output. Okay. When the logic controlling the internal output is true, when there is a continuity established, when the logic is true from rung 1 input, rung 7 output, coil will be turned on or it is energized, and there from there again continuity is maintained or established to the input of the rung 2, and that is being continued from input of the rung 2 to the, that is 12th contact of the rung 2, and from the 12th contact the discrete output or the indicator whatever is being connected that on or off condition indicator that will be turned on. Logic control in the internal output is true. The reference bit B3:1/3 is turned on or set to 1. The advantage of this internal storage bit in this manner is that it does not waste space in the physical output. Very important. Okay. The advantage of the internal storage bit is that it is not wasting the space. Actually, space is meant to control the field device. The same space in memory location which is used to control the field device, the same space we are using for storing the internal storage bits or internal instruction bit, which are meant to monitor the status of the or monitor the status of the relay, which is used only for the internal purposes of the PLC only for monitoring purpose, output monitoring purpose. It is being used, and this avoids wastage of the space in the memory location. Are you following here, students? Any difficulties up till now? Any difficulties up till now here, students? Students? Any questions? Any difficulties up till here? Are you here, students? Students, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you following Mudabira?
Yes, sir.
Any difficulty here? You are following, no? Any difficulty, Mudabira?
No, no, not right now, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Fine. In the last class, one question was raised from your end as to whether the relay, ladder diagram can be written with the instructions. Of course, it can be written with the instructions also, because it's also one of the programming language, just like the ladder diagram. Okay, so instructions can be used and the programming can be written like how we are writing the ladder diagram instructions like XIT, XIO. Similarly, we can use the instructions for the relay ladder diagram also. Okay, that was a question that was asked in the last class discussion. So, and if there are any faults to be rectified in relay ladder diagram, so those faults are identified and they are rectified in the relay ladder diagram. Okay, so programming can be done. Like how the ladder diagram programming instructions are written, maybe XIO, XIC, examine if close, examine if open instructions. In the similar way, there are certain instructions for writing program for the relay ladder diagram also. It is possible. Okay. Inosha, that I hope your question is clear.
Voice is
I have
breaking.
answered to your question. Yes, please. What is breaking? Okay, 1 minute.
Yes,
1
sir.
minute. Just a minute. 1 minute. Hold on. Please.
Is it now audible, students? Is the now voice clear?
Sir,
Students?
clear.
Okay, right, fine. So from you in the last class as to the instructions can be used with the relay ladder diagram or not. Of course, it can be used. There are certain instructions, just like how we are using the instructions for examine if closed, examine if open, that is XIC, XIO. Okay, instructions for the ladder diagram. Okay, similarly, that way the instructions can also be used for the relay ladder diagram also, right? And that is possible. And if there are any faults in the circuit is being made with the switches, contacts, relay coils. Okay, that we have seen and we also discussed in the previous class. Okay, difference between the relay diagram and the ladder diagram. Okay, and if there are any faults in that circuit, that fault is being rectified and it is overcome, and the system is being restored. Okay, so definitely it is possible, and the instructions are available. Write program for the relay ladder diagram. So just like how we are writing the instructions for the ladder diagram, tongue diagram. Similarly, for the relay logic also, the instructions are available, and it is possible that we can use the instructions that are available for the relay logic. Okay, I hope I have answered to your question, Inoj D'Souza. Inoj?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Next is programming examine if closed and examine if open instructions. These instructions, of course, we have gone through them, but now we are going to study how to program, how to use these instructions in our program. We have already seen what is XIO instruction, examine if open, examine if closed. Okay, we'll see them again. In brief, and then we will also see how to write the program using these instructions, that is examine if closed and examine if open instructions. Right. A simple program using the examine if closed, that is XIC instruction, is as shown here. So in this instruction, they have shown the program written using the XIC instruction, programming examine if closed and examine if open instructions. Under this, the first one is examine if closed. Okay. In the hardwired circuit, this is our hardwired circuit. Hardwired circuit means it is in the form of push buttons. Okay, and whatever are the outputs, such as pilot light, that is called as our hardwired circuit. Then the ladder diagram means we are writing the program, that is the ladder diagram, in the form of contacts and coils. Inputs we are showing them as the contacts, and outputs we are showing them as the coils. Okay, so that is the hardwired circuit and the ladder diagram. In the hardwired circuit here, we are using the push button. The push button is normally open. Normally open means initially it is in open state. Then if we push it, it will come to closed state. It will close. If we push the push button, then it will get closed. Contact will get closed. Okay. Then PB2, push button 2, is normally closed. That is, it is already in the closed position. Then if it is required to be energized, then it will open. The contact will open. And here the logic is, for push button 1, the 0 indicates off state, that is open state. 1 indicates true state, that is closed state. This is the logic. Then for push button 2, it is the opposite logic. That means open means it is off state, and closed means it is on state. Okay, like that, right? So here what is happening in the push button, when we are operating this, right, the switch is getting closed, right? Here it becomes normally open. Normally open means it is closed state here. Okay, initially it is closed state. Closed state means it is off state. Open state means that means it is on state here. So when both the contacts are energized, that is when the continuity becomes true, the pilot light will be turned on. The indicator will be turned on. Right? That is the logic. In way they are interpreted is different. Push button 1, 1 means, that is here open means it is off state, here open means it is on state. In push button 1, the closed means it is on state, here PB2 closed means it is off state. Okay, so in that way, when both of them are becoming true, then the pilot light or the output will be glowing. The same is being indicated by the ladder diagram. This is examine if closed instruction. This is how it is indicated, the form of bracketed instructions. Okay, one opening bracket, one closing bracket. Okay, that is the way in which the XIC instruction, that is examine if closed instruction, is used. So when it is connected here, this indicates the push button 1, examine if closed instruction for push button 1, then the second one for push button 2, push button 2. That is here it doesn't matter whether the push button 1 is in normally open contact or the push button 2 is normally closed contact. It doesn't matter. What we want is the logic condition should be true. That means there should be continuity from the input to the output. Okay, that is push button examine if closed, here it is true. Okay, and push button 2 is also true, and the pilot light will be turned on. Okay, how I have written this program, the ladder diagram, because look here. So when both PB1 and PB2 are true, okay, that means they have come to the closed condition. Okay, of course PB2 will become open, but what is the ultimate result of PB2? PB2 will be as good as it is in closed condition. It is true condition. Here open of PB2 means it is true condition. Okay, so when both are becoming true, then the pilot light will be turned on. So if I want to use the examine if closed instruction for PB1 and PB2, then I will be connecting in series. When both PB1 and PB2 both are satisfied, or when both become true, PB1 and PB2, okay, then the pilot light will be in on state. This is how I am indicating using the XIC instructions. The same can also be done using the examine if open instructions also. Okay, that we'll see in the next figure. The figure shows hardwired circuit and the user program, that is a ladder program written by the user. We will note here that both NO and NC push buttons are represented by examine if closed symbol. This NO means here normally open, NC means normally closed. So both normally open and normally closed push buttons are represented by examine if closed symbol. Why? This is because normal state of an open input or normally closed input does not matter to the controller. To the PLC does not matter whether it is a normally open switch or normally closed switch. Then what it matters? If contacts need to close to energize the output, then the examine if closed instruction is used. That is, if the contacts are closing to energize the output, that is, they are becoming true to finally energize the output, then we have to make use of the examine if closed instruction, XIC instruction. As both PB1 and PB2 must be closed, look at this statement, as both PB1 and PB2 must be closed to energize the pilot light. Both must be closed. Though one is maybe normally open, another one may be normally closed, but the way they are interpreted is both should be in closed state only. That is, they have to be in true state only. So when both PB1 and PB2 are true, the examine if closed instruction is used for both. Okay. That is hardwired circuit and user program providing the same result as that of the hardwired circuit. Next, a simple program that uses the examine if open instruction. Examine if open instruction, XIO instruction. This is the hardwired circuit. Look at the way how we are interpreting this. PB1, it is normally open. When we push it, it will become closed and the relay coil will be energized. Of course, it will be energized. The same relay coil, the same bit position in the memory, I'm connecting with the contact at the input. Okay, I'm connecting with the contact at the input. Okay, the same bit here. That bit I will be continued, but this is energized coil. The same bit when I am applying it to the relay contact, it is in the not of relay coil. So this slash indicates the slash, the cross line, okay, the slash indicates on the relay coil, the slash mark, it indicates not of the relay coil. Not of the relay coil means if it is off state, not of off state is on state. If it is on state, not of on state is off state. Just like the NOT gate that you used in your digital circuit in your basic electronic subject in the first year, correct? Not of 0 is 1, not of 1 is 0, like that. Okay, so not of, here it is energized, it is energized. So actually if it is normal relay contact, then it would have been energized, but this is not condition. It is not condition, not of 1 is 0, and hence the pilot light will not be turning on. Then when it will be turned on? When we are closing it, it is not turning on. Pilot light is not turned on. When the PB1 is on state, that is, it is not closed, open state. I mean to say open state. When it is in open state, then the relay coil is de-energized. It is turned off. Relay coil is turned off. When the relay coil is turned off, to the same bit position, this relay contact is connected to maintain the continuity. So here this is off state. So this is not of off state, not condition. Not of off state means it is true. When it is true, the pilot light will be glowing. Okay, is it not interesting, students? The push button one is open. When it is open, the relay coil is de-energized, it is turned off. Then the same, to the same bit position, I am connecting a relay contact at the input. That is not of 0. Not of 0 is 1. The condition becomes true and the pilot light will be turned on. Okay, it is entirely based on the logic 0 or 1, true or false. It is not like the electrical circuit. Okay, user program providing the same results. The same result is being provided from this ladder diagram. Push button 1, I am using examine if open instruction. Examine if open instruction. Examine if open instruction means if the condition is open, if the switch condition is open, then the output has to be energized. Correct? If the input condition is in open state, then the pilot light is energized. For that reason, we are using the XIO instruction, examine if open instruction. This is our examine if open instruction. Okay, one is open bracket, another is close bracket, then the line, slashed line on the two brackets. This is our examine if open instruction, XIO. A simple program using the examine if open instruction is shown in the above figure. Both hardwired circuit and user program are being depicted here. In the hardwired circuit, when the push button is open, what is happening? Relay coil is de-energized, contact closes, and the pilot light turns on. Yes or no? When PB1 is open, the relay coil is de-energized, contact closes, this contact closes, and the pilot light turns on. The other condition, what is the other condition? When the push button is closed, relay coil is energized, contact opens, and pilot light is off. That is, when the push button is closed, the relay is energized, turns on, the contact opens, and the pilot light is turned off. The push button is represented in the user programming by an examine if open instruction. Why? What is the reason? Because the rung must be true when the push button is open. That's what point I highlighted here. If the push button is in open state, then the rung must become true and the output should be indicated. Output should be turned on. For that sake, we are using the XIO instruction, examine if open instruction. That is, if they are open, then the output should be true. Using an examine if open instruction to represent a push button satisfies our requirements. Our requirement, what is the requirement here of the hardwired circuit? That is being satisfied by this ladder diagram. So it is all based on the satisfying the requirements of the hardwired circuit. when it satisfies the hardware required circuit requirements, then that should be okay for us. It's important to remember that user program, that's what point I am repeatedly highlighting. It is not an electrical circuit but a logical circuit. We are interested in the logical continuity from the input to the output. That is, if logical continuity is becoming true, or if logical continuity is established from the input of the rung to the output of the rung, then that will turn on our output, or it will activate the output. In the next figure, it shows a simple program using both the XIC and XIO instructions. Both XIC and XIO instructions are shown in the next figure. Let us look into that. Look into this bottom figure here, the below figure. XIC, XIO, both are shown. Now tell me, students, when under what condition this will be energized or the output will be turned on? Think and tell me. When will be the OTE, output instruction, or the output coil that is connected here, when it will be turned on? Under what condition for XIC and XIO? Think and tell me. Mahesh Kulkarni. Mahesh, can you just think and tell about that? Mahesh? Saval Harsh? Manohar Hamparnavar?
Sir, repeat the question once again, sir. I didn't get it properly.
Okay, I'll tell that. Look here, just see to this figure, okay, the bottom ladder diagram. Under what condition of XIC and XIO the output will be in on state? That means think as to when the XIC, if XIC is true or false and XIO is true or false, under what condition OTE, the output coil, will be energized? Under what condition?
Sir, if,
You got my question? Yes.
Logic 1.
Logic 1. XIC should be logic 1. Okay, fine. What about XIO?
Sir, same one, sir.
1. Okay. Any other answer, students? From others?
False, sir.
XIC,
It should be false.
XIO should be false. Why? Why it should be false, students?
Because it's opposite, sir.
Yes, you are right. XIO is in opposite state. Okay. XIC should be 1, that is true condition, and XIO should be false, it is in opposite state, because this line is used. Okay, it is having the logical conditions opposite to that of XIC. Here, if XIC is true, right, and XIO is false, then the rung will become true. If XIC is false, right, then if XIO is also false, then the rung will not become true. There are 4 possibilities here. One is XIC 1, XIO 0. For that state, output is true. If XIC is 0 and XIO is 1, then also the output is false, because XIC is 0, XIO is 1, means not of 1 is 0. 0 and 0 is 0, output is false. Then next state, XIC is 0, XIO is 1. Okay, next, if there XIC is 0, XIO is 0, both are 0. XIC is 0 means it is 0, XIO is 0 means not of 0. Not of 0 is 1, so 0 and 1, it is not possible because both should be true. Output is false. What about if both are 1? If XIC is 1, XIO is 1. XIO 1 means not of 1 is 0. So this is 1, this is 0. Again, there is no continuity, and hence the output will not be turned on. Just like how you are writing the truth table, no, for your digital circuits, right? in your first year level in your digital basic electronics you have studied, just like how you write the truth table, right, for the different states 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. Okay, similarly here we have to analyze accordingly to that. Let us see this table. If the data table bit is logic 0, that is if the bit 0 is stored in the image file bit image file in the data table, XIC, examine if closed, is false. Examine if closed, XIC is false, and XIO is open, true, that is false. True or not of true is false, output will be false. Next, logical 1 condition. If the bit stored in the image file in the output image file it is 1, then XIC, examine if closed, is true. XIC is true. Examine if open, XIO is false. Not of false is true. XIC is also true. XIO is true. Both are true, and hence output will be energized. Now ultimately what is the conclusion here? Both XIC and XIO finally they should be true in order to energize the output. If any one is false, then the output is not going to be energized. That is a statement. And the statement that we can make here is, if XIC and XIO finally if they are true, then only the output will be energized. If either one of them is false, definitely there will be no logical continuity and the output is not going to be energized. Okay. Logic 0 or 1 indicates when an instruction is true or false. The figure is summarizing on or off state of the output. And
Sir, I have done this examine closed circuit diagram.
yes, I'll come to that. Okay. Yes, please.
Not this, sir. Previous slide. Examine
Previous.
closed.
Okay. This one? Oh, closed. Examine if closed. Okay. Yes, please. You
No,
can
sir.
ask.
After
Previous to this. Okay. This one. This is internal relay
No,
instruction.
sir. After this.
Okay.
Forward, sir.
Forward.
Forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sir. Sir, backside,
these are-
sir. Just now you open.
No, these are the figures. No, 1 minute. I'm going slow. Just wait. Which
Yeah,
one?
yes, sir. This one. Yes, sir.
XIO. Okay, fine. Tell me. What is your doubt, please?
Sir, this CR and the one below this CR, sir.
Yes.
Whether they are series or parallel.
That's a very good question. Look here. Actually, while connecting, they are connected as though they are in parallel condition. They are maintaining a branch. Okay, the one that I explained in the previous slide. Suppose there are 12 contacts, and we have a limit of connecting only 7 contacts in series. What we are doing? We are connecting 5 more contacts in the second branch. Is it not? We are making a branch. Parallelly, we are connecting. But what I told there is a continuity from input to the output, and output of the first rung to the input of the second rung, and again from input to the output. Yes or no? Similarly, here also, right, there is this relay coil when it is energized. This is a relay coil when it is energized here. Okay. So this relay coil when it is energized, it is storing the status. Say status is 1. Status is 1. It is in on state. It is stored in the memory location. Memory location in the PLC memory. That memory location is being connected next after say 2 seconds or 3 seconds, after some time gap, it is being connected to this relay contact. Right? That means whatever is the bit status that is indicated by the relay logic, relay coil, the same bit status is forwarded or it is applied to the relay contact. That means when this relay contact,
the upward CR is connected to this downward CR after the pilot light, no sir? It's not directly connected.
Upward CR, this is one upward CR. It is not directly connected. It is through this CR, through the relay contact. We can assume it as if they are in series, but they are connected in parallel branch only. but it is as good as maintaining a logical continuity. Because why we are maintaining the continuity is, here ultimately what is our final aim? Our final aim is to, our final goal is to turn on this pilot light. So whatever this pilot light is there, no, we have to turn on this. That is our ultimate aim of the our purpose, that should serve our purpose, our requirement. Okay, so if you want to turn on that, then how we are connecting is through this relay coil. There's just one simple example to illustrate the continuity and the operation of XIO instruction. It may not be like this only in industry, or when you are taking any practical example, it may not be like this. It is just one example to illustrate the operation of the XIO instruction, to understand the students, to make understand the students how there is a continuity from the input to the output, again from output to the input, again from input to the output. Okay, was that clear? Are you satisfied with that? Yes.
Yes,
Students?
sir. Yes.
Okay, fine. Where we were examining if open instruction. Yes. Right. This is the truth table. That's the same thing what I highlighted, the 4 conditions for XIC and XIO. If both are 0, then the output will be 0. If one is 1, XIC is 1, XIO is 1, O is 0, that is not of 0 is 1. So 1 and 1 both are true, output will be energized. If XIC is 1, XIO is 1, then output will not be energized, because XIO will become not of 1 is 0, and hence the output will not be energized. XIC is 0, XIO is 1, X not of 1 is again 0, both are false, and hence the output will be de-energized, or it will not be activated. Okay. The next part of the the module is entering the ladder diagram. The possible questions that may appear on the topics that we covered, so they may ask an examination to explain the various internal relay instructions. That is one possible question. And the second possible question is explain with examples programming examine if closed and examine if open instructions. Those may be the 2 possible questions that may appear in examination. Okay. The next one, entering the ladder diagram. We know what is a ladder diagram by now. Okay, ladder diagram is the program that we are writing, or the instructions that we are writing in order to make the system, in order to make the PLC to work as per the requirement of the user. Based on how we are writing the ladder diagram, based on that the PLC processes. It is not having its own way of say handling the ladder diagram. Actually, it is the logic written by the user. The same thing, it just processes, that it collects the input from the input field devices, processes that, okay, and accordingly finds provides the output based on the continuity of the logic, based on logical true condition. It provides the output, and from there the output is used to control the output field devices. This is the ladder diagram that we have studied up till now. Now, how to enter the ladder diagram, how to write the program, how to enter the ladder diagram, which are the softwares that are used to enter the ladder diagram, okay, which windows are used for what purpose. Suppose say you are writing a program in C language, you have different screens, you have different commands, right? You have different run command, compile command, then you have different toolbars on your screen, right? Main menu bar, title bar. You may be familiar with these terms, title bar, menu bar, okay? And those terminologies we are going to study in this entering the ladder diagram. Okay? Most of the today's PLC programming packages, they operate in Windows platform. We are familiar with the DOS operating system, Windows operating system. Okay, there are various versions nowadays. We have for our mobile cell phones, Android operating systems, correct? So there are various versions of the operating system. The 2 main versions that are used for the ladder diagram are the Windows operating system and the DOS operating system. earlier they used to make use of DOS operating system because Windows is a advanced operating system. No doubt both may be used, but there are certain advantages and disadvantages of these. Okay. In DOS operating system, what is done is it is completely based on the command. It based on the command line execution. That means we are giving certain commands in order to execute the instructions. Whereas for the ladder diagrams, it is completely graphical based. There are certain icons. We can just click on that icon, then it will execute the run operation. Here it is not like that in DOS. The full form of DOS is disk operating system. That is the full form of the DOS, disk operating system. Okay. Then this is one difference. Then the second difference is that the Windows platform, Windows operating system will consume more memory and more power consumption as compared to that of the DOS operating system. DOS doesn't require that much amount of memory consumption, whereas in Windows, as there is a graphical interface, graphics being used, hence the memory consumed will be more, and as the memory consumed will be more, then automatically the power that is consumed, the power consumption means say how much of the power is consumed, that is your voltage into current, what you have studied in your basic electrical, product of voltage and current, the power consumed will be more. Okay. Sometimes when you are keeping your cell phones, what happen after your continuous usage, say your mobile phones will get a certain amount of heat radiations, and it will feel some heat on your cell phones. Right? And when you are charging the mobile phone continuously, right, many hours continuously when you are charging, then also you will getting some heat on your mobile phone because it is dissipating certain amount of heat energy, excess heat energy. Okay, that is nothing but your power consumption. Okay. Now, what is operating system? First, we have to know what is an operating system. Before knowing Windows and DOS, operating system means it is the software meant to control the operation of the PLCs, or software meant to control the operation of the computers. When it is used along with computers, it controls the operation of the computers. When it is used along with the PLCs, it controls the entire operation of the PLCs. When it is used along with the cell phones, it is controlling the operation of the cell phones. This is what we call as the operating system. It is the system software. There are two types of software. One is user software, another one is system software. User software is the software written by the user. It is our ladder program, what we are writing. That is called as the user software. And system software is the software that comes along with the PLCs. That is, it is inbuilt. It is being downloaded into the PLC by the manufacturer while it's manufacturing. Okay, so that comes along with the PLCs. And this software, it controls the entire operation of the PLCs. There are different types of various manufacturers who manufacture, and we have different types of software packages. One is Allen Bradley RS Logic software. Then there are various Windows programming packages also used to develop the Logic programs. This software can be used for various PLCs such as PLC 5, PLC SLC 500 PLC, Control Logics PLC, MicroLogic family of PLCs. There is one advantage between the RS Logic programs, right? The advantage of this RS Logic programs is that is the using this RS Logic software if you are using. Okay, Allen Bradley's RS Logic software if you are using, then the advantage is that it is compatible to both DOS operating system as well as to the Windows operating system. Compatible. I am using the word compatible. Okay. So what is the meaning of compatible? Suppose if you have a ball pen, and say you have a toe pen. Suppose if you are using a Reynolds pen, 00045, they come older versions, right? So that the top of the pen, okay, you can put only to that particular pen or to that particular manufactured pen, to that particular same model pen. Suppose if I want to put that token or the top of that pen to some other pen, it is not fitting into that. Correct? That is nothing but compatibility. That means I say that my pen is compatible to that particular top portion of the pen. Okay, it does not fit into the other pens manufactured by different companies. That is how the compatibility is. This is one example I am using here to explain you the meaning of compatibility. Similarly here, the RS Logic programs, they are compatible with the DOS operating system as well as with the Windows operating system. That means the program that you have written for the Windows operating system, you can also run in DOS operating system. The program that you are running in DOS operating system, you can also run in Windows operating system. This is the meaning of compatibility. Okay, that is what they have explained in the next point. You can import the projects that you have developed with DOS products, whatever project you have written, okay, or you have developed in DOS platform, the same you can import or you can use in RS Logics, for the RS Logics, and also for the Windows operating system. Entering the ladder diagram or actual programming is usually, there are two ways of entering the ladder diagram. One is by the handheld device, handheld programming device. Another one is with the computer keyboard, the personal computer. Okay. And because there are various programming techniques will change from one manufacturer to another manufacturer. Right? How the programming is done, whether we are using the handheld device or whether personal computer should be used. Okay, so it differs from one manufacturer to another manufacturer. How we are entering the programs. Okay, so based on that, we have the manual which are being provided for a particular manufacturer. Yes or no? You are using the manuals. Similarly, the manufacturer gives one manual for the usage of that particular instrument or for the usage of that particular PLC. Looking into that manual, we have to study that manual, and then accordingly we have to make use of the software, or accordingly we have to make use of the instructions. We have to enter them. Right? If you are not knowing the manual, if you have not studied the manual, then what may happen? We may go wrong in entering the instructions, because we'll not be familiar how to enter the instructions, how to apply the input, how to get the output. We'll not be knowing all those details. We may definitely go wrong one or the other time, and hence it is very much essential to look into the manual of that company, study that completely, and then start using. Initially we'll be beginners, right? But once we start using the manual and start using the instructions or feeding the instructions according to the manual, then it will become familiar, and later will turn out to be an expert. One method of entering a program is through handheld keyboard. These keyboards, handheld keyboards, they have on their panel, that is various keys. Right? Keys maybe, say some keys may be having the symbol of the relay. Some keys may have only alphabet. Keys may have alphanumeric. Alphanumeric means they may be having alphabets as well as the numbers. And some of them, usually these handheld devices which are used for entering the ladder diagram, okay, they have multifunctional keys. Multifunctional keys means just like your calculator keys. In the calculator, what is happening? In the calculator, one key is having more than one function, certain keys. You leave those 0, 1, 2, 3, those keys. Other keys, what are you using? For example, if you are using tan theta, same key you can use for tan inverse also. How you can use it for tan inverse? Yes, I am using the key on the calculator for calculating the tangent of angle, tan theta. The same key I can use for tan inverse. How can I make use of that? Yes, how you are using that for tan inverse? The same key. What you are pressing there? Which key you are pressing to make use of that as tan inverse? Yes, students. Which key you are using for making use of that as tan inverse? You use your calculator. Shift. Exactly. Good. Shift key. Very good.
Sir,
So
again your
shift
voice is
key
breaking, sir.
breaking. Okay, I'll just check. Just a minute. Now, can you hear me, students, clearly?
Yes, sir. It's clear, sir. Now.
Okay, fine. I was explaining about the ladder diagram, entering the ladder diagram. In the handheld, that is your devices for entering the ladder diagram, it is similar to the multifunction keys. Similar to the multifunction keys. So these multifunction keys of your calculator, okay. So they make use of functions which are having more than one functionality. For example, the shift key, as you told, okay, tangent of theta, and the same can be used for calculating the tan inverse also. If you press shift on the tan key, so that will indicate that is your shift of tan inverse. That will work as your tan inverse, right? So like this, we can make use of the same key for many functions, because the space is less in the handheld device. Space is less. In personal computer, the space is more, is it not? That is the reason they are going for multifunctional keys on the, that is, handheld devices. In handheld units, the keyboard is small and the keys have multiple functions. Multifunction key works like second function keys on calculators. A personal computer is most often used as the programming tool. So the personal computer is the most often used programming tool. A computer is adapted to the particular PLC model. For the particular manufacturer, they will specify which computers to use. We have many models of PCs, is it not? Some of them may be of Dell company, some of them may be of Lenovo, okay, then IBM, okay, various company manufacturers PCs and laptops we are having nowadays. So they will specify in the manufacturer that is a manual as to which it is compatible to which PC. They'll clearly mention about that, and accordingly we have to use that computer, we have to connect it, and we have to start entering the program or the ladder diagram using the computer, that is keys, computer keys. It is important that we have to understand the purpose of the various screens, toolbars, and the windows. There are various screens, toolbars are available, windows are available, various tabs are available, keys are available, okay, with graphical icons are available. You have to understand the importance of each of these, that we are going to look next. This information is available from the software reference manual. It is available everything in the manual that will explain the details about the various details about the software packages. As you can see in the next figure, it is showing the instruction toolbar. This is how it looks like, instruction toolbar with the bit instruction selected. Here we have selected this particular bit instruction. I'm pointing with my pointer. This is the bit instruction being selected right now for the ladder diagram. Okay, there are various other instructions also. Timer bar counter instruction is there. Then input bar output is there. Compare instructions are there. Right now, which is selected, bit instruction is being selected. Then there are other symbols also, as you can see here. So these are various symbols for the relays, then the contacts, coils, okay, the relay, then the solenoid, okay, various symbols are being provided here. Place an instruction on the rung. What we are supposed to do, if you want to place any instruction on the rung, you have to click on that icon, drag it and place it at the points which is being shown there, or the markings which is being shown there. At those markings only we have to place that particular rung, okay, or the particular instruction on the rung. Okay. If you want to place a particular instruction on the rung diagram, on the ladder rung, we have to click on the icon which is showing that particular instruction, as it was showing just now, bit instruction. Click on that, right? Drag it and then place it at the indicated or say shown locations where it is showing, where it is highlighting, so that we have to place at that particular location only. Drop points are shown. These are called as drop points. Drop points are shown on the ladder to help position the instruction. Instruction can also be dragged from other rungs also, like how we are doing. Usually what we do, we write a program. Suppose if we want one instruction, we are writing a next sub program within the same program itself. We copy the instruction. We copy the instruction from the above program and then we place it in the below program. Is it not? So it is as good as doing that. If you want the same instruction, we can drag it from the other ladder rungs and we can place it in the required rung. There are various methods that we can use to address the instructions. Addressing the instructions we have discussed in the previous class, correct? How to address the inputs and the outputs. That is how we are using the word file or the file and how we are denoting that file, how we are denoting the word and how we are denoting the slot or the bit number. Suppose if I write I:5, 2, I:5, 2, it indicates input, slot number 5, bit number 2. If I write O:7, 3, that means for the output in the image table file, it is slot number 7 and bit number 3 in which the status is stored. Can enter an address by manually typing it or by dragging the address from the other instructions. We can drag this address from the other instructions wherever we have written. We can place it or we can manually type the address. We need to know certain windows which are meant for working with RSLogix 500 software. If you are using Allen Bradley's RSLogix 500 software, then we should become familiar with these different windows. One is the main window. Main window is the main window that we have. Suppose you write a program in your mechanical software, like any software, whatever you may be using in your mechanical field. Say you are writing one program. Okay, you're writing one program, right? You're writing the code and then you give the file name. So take the example of C language itself. You're writing the program and you are giving some file name to that, right? For example, if I am performing the multiplication of two numbers, then I may give the file name as mul.c. mul.c. That may be the file name. This file name is stored in the particular directory. This file name is stored in the particular directory, correct? Then in that particular directory, we are storing with a certain file name, or in that particular folder, we are storing it with a certain file name. Yes or no? So that is here, this window, it is called as the, the title bar or the main window. Okay. This is meant to, this is the title bar. The main window is your, when you want to create a new project, whatever it opens up. When you want to write a new program, whatever the screen comes to your main window, that is your main window. And what I told just now, that is the file name and the folder name, that is your title bar. It comes at the place, that particular location is called as the title bar. The title bar is located at the topmost strip of the window and displays the name of the program as well as that of the file. Below the title bar, next is the menu bar. Menu bar. Okay. So menu bar, it is located below the title bar. It comes with the keywords that are meant to open when we press on those keywords. Okay. So below this title bar, there are many keywords, right? Many keywords. Okay. So those keywords are meant to click on them and then they will open up. Just like how we are, say you are using the Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word, you are typing some sentences. Microsoft Word you are using. The first one, what you are doing, at the main strip, at the topmost strip, that will be your file name. You are giving some file name. What file name you will give? Say I am giving some file name, something xyz dot that is a Word file, .doc, xyz .doc, document. Okay, that will be the title bar, window title bar, main heading. The next to that comes the different options. We have the menu, is it not? There are various menus. That is file is there. Then we have in under that file we have a drop down menu, correct? And by the side of the file there is various options. Say some of them options are like shapes, then insert, all those, insert those shapes. So there is various options coming, is it not? Right? So that is called as your menu bar. Right? Then the Windows toolbar executes standard window commands when you click on them. So there are certain commands. Okay. So this window toolbar, it's having certain buttons or the icons. If you click on them, it will execute the certain commands. For example, say in the C language, you can run the program using DOS command also. When you can run the program in the command prompt, correct? In your C language, you can write certain commands and you can execute it. And what you can do in the other way, other method, what you can use is you can click on that run icon, or you can click on that run command. Okay, so if you click on that, what will happen? The C program will get executed. It will get compiled first and then it will run. Yes or no? Then program bar, processor status toolbar. This is meant to indicate the status of the processor. The processor may be in various modes that I am explaining next. It may be in the run mode, it may be in the test mode, it may be in the remote mode, okay, or it may be in the program mode. So these are the various modes in which the processor can be. This particular toolbar will indicate it has the 4 drop-down lists, just like how our file has the drop-down list. When you click on the file in our Microsoft Word file, what all it will show, students? It will show the new, then it will show save as, correct? All those options in the drop-down menu. That is called as our drop-down. Right? Similarly here, this toolbar shows a certain drop-down list, and in that drop-down list, it has the options for checking the processor status. Okay. Project window displays the file folders listed in the project tree. Which are the folders in the project tree? Now I told at the beginning, I'm saving my program in the Microsoft Word. I'm just giving these examples to make you understand how the programming is done using the ladder diagram. It's on the same basis. I'm using the Word file. I'm saving that Word file in some directory. In some directory, I'm saving. Say I'm using D drive or D directory. In D directory, which file name I'm storing? Say I'm saving the folder name with some name ABC folder name. Under that ABC folder name, I'm saving the file with the file name extension .doc xyz .doc is my file name under the folder ABC. Correct? Like this, that will show the list of folders, in which folder it is, in which subfolder it is, in which directory it is. That is shown by the project window, and this is called as project tree. It's just like a tree, like how the tree has the First it has the branches, then it has the then it comes down to roots, shrubs and all those, correct? Okay, trunk and roots and shrubs and all those, is it not? Similarly, a tree means it starts from which directory, which folder, which subfolder, and what is the file name, like that. That is called as the project tree. The project tree is a visual representation of all the folders and the files. That's what I told. It consists of the all the directories, drives, folders, and the file names. From the project tree, what we can do, we can open the files, we can save them, we can edit them, we can delete certain files, okay, we can update certain files, we can hide them, we can rename the files. These are the various options. Result window, this is for displaying the result. Finally, when you run the multiplication program, when I run in C language, then it shows the screen. It asks us to enter the inputs. We enter them. Then finally, when you run that, it shows the output on the screen. That is our result window or the output window. The verify operation is used to check the ladder program for errors. There is certain icon meant to check for errors. What is this process called as? Verification process, compilation. You compile the program. When you compile the program, what it will show? It will show the various errors in your program. Okay, that is the compilation process or the verification process. Active tab. So this active tab or the active icon, so right, there are certain tabs, right? For example, add, you want to say add certain things, okay, and then say you want to run certain things. There are certain tabs which are being provided, okay. Then these tabs identify which program is currently active, which program is currently active, that is being highlighted by the active tab. Then the status bar, this is the bar which contains information relevant to the current file, which is the current file, existing file, the running file, information of that is being shown by the status bar. Split bar, the ladder program, the rung diagram, whatever you have written, it is split into two, it is split into groups of ladder rungs, okay, that is called as the split bar. This is used to split the ladder window to display two different program files or groups of ladder rungs. There is one option sometimes when you look into your main bar, sometimes if you have seen in your certain say Word file or in maybe in other programming language, when you are using certain softwares, that there's an option for splitting, horizontal splitting, vertical splitting, okay, you might have come across, right? So that splitting is possible here also. Here also in Word file also you can split them horizontally, right? And splitting is possible. Then merging, okay, you know all those things, merging, how to split that file into two files, merging and all those things. Tabbed instruction toolbar, this toolbar displays the instruction set as a group of tabbed categories. So this tabbed categories, it comes with the certain instructions. It is in the form of the tabs, okay. For example, that's what I told, run instruction, okay, or it may be say compiling process, okay. It has the certain toolbars, and those toolbars are meant to execute certain instructions. Instruction palette. In this instruction palette, it contains all the instructions under one table to make the selection of the instructions easier. There is a certain set of instructions. All those set of instructions are grouped in one table. It is just like one table. We can pick up the instructions from those tables. Okay, we can pick up the instructions from those tables and then we can use them in the ladder diagram. Ladder window. This is the window which is meant to show the ladder diagram. Which is meant to show the ladder diagram, the ladder window. Then the properties of the ladder window properties. This will allow us to change the display of our ladder program. Okay, the ladder program properties can be changed. What may be the properties of the ladder diagram, students? Can you imagine? Properties of the ladder diagram. The color of the rung, right? We can change it. The thickness of the rung, okay, just like how we are changing the color, no? When you draw it in Paint, Microsoft Paint, when you are drawing, correct? You change the thickness of the line, you change the borders, correct? You change the color, then borders, then thickness of those lines. So all those are the properties which are associated with the ladder window, where we can change the properties of this ladder rung diagram. Select processor type. The programming software needs to know what processor is used with the particular program. The software should come to know which processor is used for processing the program. Okay, because the PLC is associated with the certain particular processor. The processor may be SLC 500 processor, or it may be Allen Bradley, it may be SLC 500, it may be Micrologix PLC processor. Okay, a certain PLC comes with a certain processor, and the software should come to know which processor is being used for processing. That has come along with that PLC. That is selecting the processor type. The select processor type screen, which is shown in the next figure, lists the different processors that the RS Logic software can program. You can see in this figure here. This is the processor selection, how we can select the particular processor for that particular PLC. It's a software based completely. We are discussing with the software. It's not the hardware part what we are discussing now, it's the software part. We can select that particular processor which we want to be used along with our PLC. Here the processor that they have selected is this one, that is 1747L4OE 24 volts DC input side, then SNK input at the input, 16 transistor, it is transistor based, then SRC output. Okay, this is the processor name that we are associating with our PLC when we are using the software. Then we can select any of these processors. Okay, Micrologix is there, right? Then these other processors are there. Okay, all these various types. We can select any one among this from this drop down list. You can see here there are various tabs here. OK tab is there, cancel tab is there, help tab is there. Okay, these are the various tabs. IO configuration scanning. We know that when we want to use a PLC, we are first and the foremost using the IO modules. In which slot and in which bit number the bit number is stored. Correct? That is our IO module, input output module. We are configuring that. So which IO configuration we are using? Either we are using Allen Bradley chassis and rack, or say we are using other manufacturer IO modules. So that is we are specifying. That is called as our IO configuration screen. Here we are using various IO modules, so we can select any one among this. Here they use 16 output transistor SRC 10 bar 50 volts DC, this one. So it is showing the slot, rack, okay, all those different configurations. Is it not? IO configuration screen lets us to drag and drop a module and place it on the required rung. Then there are various data files. Data file screens contains the data about the ladder diagram. It contains the data about the ladder diagram instructions, about the input output files, about the timers, counters, right, integer, bit files. All this data is stored in this data files. There is one more figure which shows the bit file B3, which is used for the internal relays. Just now we discussed about the internal relay bit storage while discussing the first topic of today's discussion, internal relay bit storage or internal outputs. So for that bit storage, this is how it is stored. This is the window which is highlighting the data file B3 binary, right? B3 is there. This is the first one, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 files here of the with the file name B3, and they are varying from bit number 15 to bit number 0. Okay, there are 16 bits totally, bit number 15 to bit number 0. Fine. Are you following here, students? Yes, please. Students, are you following here? Students, are you all here?
Yes,
Students?
sir.
Okay. That was our topic on entering the ladder diagram. In examination, if they ask, explain about entering the ladder diagram, then you will have to draw the related figures and write about different points about say main windows, right, menu bar, Windows toolbar, program or process status bar, all those different bars, toolbars. Okay. The next is different modes of operation. Different modes of operation. The last topic of the today's class, I'll quickly take up in just 5 minutes. There are various modes of operation. One is called the run mode, remaining, and then the remote mode and the programming mode. Run mode means actually when the PLC is under execution. When the PLC is under execution, that is called as the run mode. Okay. Then the remote mode means, say when the PLC is at some place and our controlling is at some other place. PLC is here, controlling is somewhere else. Okay, PLC is here, controlling is somewhere else. That is called as the remote mode of operation. Then programming mode of operation is, here we can edit our program. Okay, we can upload the program, we can download the program, we can modify our program, we can update it, we can delete certain instructions in the program, we can add certain instructions in the program. Right? All those changes we can make in the program. When this programming mode is being processed, then the run mode is under halt. Okay. When the programming mode is under process, there is no execution of the program. It is under halt. Okay. The scan cycle, the processor scan cycle is under halt when this programming mode is under process. Okay. We'll see those points quickly. A processor has basically two modes, program mode and run mode. And this is the diagram which shows the three key switches: run mode, remote mode, and the programming mode. What is the program mode? It is used to enter the program, edit or update an existing program, upload files, download files, take the printout of the programs, or change any software configuration files in the program. When the PLC is switched in this program mode, all outputs from the PLC are forced off. This is an important point. When PLC is switched in the programming mode, all the outputs will be in the off state. Regardless of the input, whatever may be the input, the output will be in the off state, and the scan cycle will also be in the off state. IS scan cycle is halted. Run mode is used to execute the user program. In the run mode, we know how the run process takes place. Input devices are monitored and the output devices are energized. After all instructions have been entered in the new program, or all changes made to an existing program, the processor is put in the run mode. Test mode, there is one more mode called the test mode that we discussed when discussing the internal relay bits, the first topic of today's class. Okay, in the test mode, what is happening? We are testing the output. We are not connecting the field devices. We are just testing the output. We are monitoring the output whether we are getting or not. Okay, the processor reads the inputs, executes the ladder program, and updates the output status file, but without energizing the output circuits. That means the real world output, we are not connecting without connecting the real world output, we are just monitoring the output. That is called as our test mode. And the last one is the remote mode. Remote mode, some processors have a 3-position switch for controlling the remote mode. In the run position, all the logic is solved and the IO is enabled. The program logic is solved and the input output is enabled. In the program position, all logic solving is stopped and the IO is disabled. We know that. And the remote position allows the PLC to be remotely changed between program mode and the run mode. This remote mode is doing the job of switching from the run mode to program mode. Okay, that switching over is done by this remote mode, and it is especially used when a personal computer is connected to the PLC processor and it is remotely located. The remote mode may be beneficial. Yes, please. Any doubts? Last point. Come to the end of it. When the controller is in a location that is not easily accessible. Okay. Any doubts here, students? Students, any doubts? Yes, please. Ravi, Hiremat, any doubt? Ravi? Nemani Patil? Nemani Patil?
No, sir, no doubt.
Okay. Inoj D'Souza? Any difficulty, Inoj?
No, sir.
Okay. Sohail Mullah? Sohail Mullah?
No, sir.
Any problem in understanding, Sohail?
No, no,
Sohail? Okay. Nathaniel Saldana?
No, sir.
Everything is understood, Nathaniel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mudabbira? Any doubts, any questions, Mudabbira? As
No,
of
sir.
now?
No, sir.
No question. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, students, in today's class, we have discussed various points on starting with that is our relay instruction output, internal relay instructions. Okay. Then we have covered programming examine if close and examine if open instructions. Then entering the ladder diagram, how to enter the ladder diagram, which are the different modes of operation of the PLCs. Okay. So with this discussion, we will end our today's class here, right? And then we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.